The impeachment trial of one Donald J. Trump is playing out precisely as expected. That is, precisely into the hands of the self-proclaimed outsider. Meanwhile, as this latest own goal from his rivals only boosts Trump's re-election prospects, the most boring Democratic race in recent history descends further into irrelevance. What should have been one of the most fascinating elections is destined to be a fizzer, with the primaries offering up nothing but a lukewarm buffet of sloppy and unappetising leftovers. Will it be Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or, even reading the rest of that list is enough to send us all to sleep. The tragedy is the one name that would wake everybody up is not even in the mix. Hillary Rodham Clinton, the single most qualified candidate in American history to run for office.
I vote every time there's an election. And I am telling everybody here at Sundance, everywhere I go, please, please get out and vote. And then whoever the nominee is, support that nominee, whether it's, someone you voted for or not in the primary process, because the most important responsibility we all have is to retire Donald Trump.
But if the Democrats really want to retire Trump, there's only one person for the job. And a repeat of the Trump-Hillary showdown would play out very differently this time. 4 years on, the millions of women who were shocked out of their complacency when Trump was sworn in will now actually get out and vote, instead of participating in a rowdy but meaningless march. After 8 years of power, the Democrats were always destined to lose in 2016. Had Hillary secured her party's nomination in 2008, she too would have sailed to victory, as Obama did. It should have been Hillary 12 years ago. It should have been Hillary 4 years ago. It should be Hillary this November. And if it's not, well, then Donald Trump's detractors have only themselves to blame for his inevitable re-election. Well, I can feel my panellists are in furious agreement with me here. Who'd like to jump in and endorse Hillary first? Catherine?
I can't endorse her, Sarah, regrettably. I think she would be the gift that just keeps on giving from Trump's perspective. I think he would love to have a rematch against her. Trump, whatever you think of him, has reshaped the American political landscape over the last 4 years. I think he has strengthened his position amongst the demographics that he was allegedly the weakest amongst, by not enormous amounts, but amongst African Americans and also amongst women. He's even improved his standing. I'm not convinced Hillary would turn out a large number of people who would turn out to vote for her again. She would be a three-time loser if she fronts up again this time. I think her best years are behind her. The biggest problem she had, she's very wooden on the stump. She's not a great campaigner. He is a very different proposition now than he was as this kind of ramshackle, eccentric candidate in 2016. He's an incumbent president with not a booming economy, but an improving economy, strong job growth, especially amongst African Americans, and he's also mobilised evangelicals and white males who felt disenfranchised. Now, these are people who, ever since the 1968 presidential election, used to be part of the Democratic heartland and have been drifting ever since under the Southern strategy that Lee Atwater and Roger Ailes devised, and before them people who worked for Nixon. So I just think the demographic change in the United States, I think the incumbency factor works Trump's way, and I think her time's come and gone. And I think even a lot of Americans who would pay lip service to a Clinton candidacy just wouldn't turn out to vote for it.
Also, Catherine, millions of women voted for Trump last time around. I can't see them changing. I don't think there's been anything that's popped up the last 4 years that'll make them say, not again. They had their chance to vote for Hillary.
Agreed.
And they didn't. And they didn't for very good reason.
Which was my point. I think that they were so complacent, they thought they were living in a
so-called post-feminist era.
No,
I don't think so. I don't think they voted for her because she was a bad candidate.
Millions, literally their millions march on Washington. I agree.
But they would have been the ones that voted for her.
Not to have voted.
They
didn't vote.
But how do we know?
Because they told Hillary that they didn't vote. They voted for Bernie Sanders.
I'm going to surprise you all here. I'm with Sarah. I want Hillary to be the Democratic candidate for president because that will guarantee she's a three-time loser. This woman was coined the phrase crooked Hillary for a reason. She's been linked to every scandal in American recent history, whether it be about the Clinton Foundation or making up stuff about running out of planes under gunfire or selling uranium to the Russians or, however, having phony email servers and pretending it wasn't her. This is someone who is up to her neck in everything, Benghazi, that you should be railing against. And you want her to be a candidate.
But
bring it on, because Trump will win in an even bigger landslide.
One point of agreement I've got with Sarah is I think she would have been a better candidate than Obama and a better president than Obama with hindsight. And I say that from a national security perspective. She's a hawk, and I think she would have been stronger in the Middle East, like the red line with the Assad regime. I can imagine Hillary having skin in the game during the Arab Spring when his weakness and vacillation really did harm the entire Western alliance and Middle Eastern interests. However, Cory, I'm going to hold you to that. Are you going to wear a Hillary for President T-shirt?
No, I don't want her to be president. I want her to be the Democratic candidate. All right. I'm with Sarah. Sarah wants that.
Run Hillary, run T-shirt.
It's funny because I know you think that you're all arguing with me, but you're actually all proving my point, because not one of you has named a single Democratic nominee. You are all talking about Trump.
They're all
Trump's
kooks.
locked in. We know what's happening in November. Trump is the incumbent. My argument is someone has to go up against
You've got creepy Joe, you've got the embalmed Bernie, you've got...
Bernie may not be alive at the election.
The Six Dwarves. It's the Six Dwarves running in Iowa. It's a dreadful, unappetising...
And you know what? We could add a seventh one in there and we'll call it Dopey.
No, but look, I think, to be serious, Michael Bloomberg, I wouldn't vote for him. But as far as the Democrats are concerned, I think he's probably going to be their best chance, and he can fund a campaign.
And they have opened that up, actually. He's going to participate, I think, in the Iowa caucus. Anyway. And remember, Hillary only got the nomination last time because of the stacked, corrupt Tammany Hall-style politics of the Democratic National Convention. She's a 4-time loser. In fact, she's a 5-time loser. She's just a loser.
All you're doing is pointing to the fact that this is a woman who has been under more scrutiny and had more experience than anyone else. Does anyone really forget how bad it was looking for Trump in 2016?
Hey, I was there.
Yeah,
he looked like a winner the whole time.
You got that one right, I grant you that.
I got it right.
And
2 weeks beforehand, he stood up there and I watched all his press conferences and he said, we will win this. And I actually, for the first time ever, believed a politician. And when Hillary cancelled her fireworks show 4 days before, and I saw the look of despondency on the New York beggars' faces, all had placards saying, please vote for Hillary, then I thought they're onto something here.
It comes down to this, though. I think if you look at Biden was a credible national figure, but I do question his capacity, and I mean, I say that kindly. I think he's showing signs of ageing, and he's a risk, I think, and people are finding him doddery. He's been a serious national candidate, but he's got Walter Mondale written all over him as an absolute, a former vice president who's been slaughtered. And Sanders, paradoxically, because all these millennials have not had enough socialism in their youth to hate it, actually are taking his socialism credentials seriously, and he's the only one in the field who is actually speaking the language that Trump speaks about put America first, and he's talking about saving industrial jobs and tariff protection for male workers. So he's the one who exploits a chink in Trump's core constituency out of that field.
But don't those male workers have privilege?
I'm showing my white male privilege by not stepping in for Hillary. I should axiomatically support Hillary, but I don't.
I had a view at the last election in America that had Bernie Sanders been the Democratic nominee, he would have won, because Hillary represented the status quo, politics as usual, and I think that's what they were rejecting. They wanted an outsider, they wanted someone who was going to throw up something vastly different. Trump did that on the Republican side, it didn't happen on the Democratic side. I thought Bernie Sanders had a radical policy agenda that would have appealed to many in middle America because it was full of social welfare and
what would you say the parallels for you? I mean, you're someone that has argued that you're also fighting the status quo. Is that why that story resonates?
You know my political success. Yeah. It wasn't that good at the last election. But look, I think there is something. There is something that's absolutely wrong with politics, to be honest, and the people feel disconnected from it. And so they think, if it's not going to represent me and reflect my views and deal with my concerns and issues, then I'm going to go somewhere else. I think that is it has the potential to be very unhealthy, and that's why I sought to do what I did by starting a political party, was basically because I knew there were Liberals leaving in droves because of Malcolm Turnbull.
And you're the only breakout right-wing candidate in the Western world who failed. How does that make you feel?
Me? Thanks. I'll get you back.
Well, Boris got up and so did Trump. And I think you're right. It's a broken system,
okay.
and this is backlash politics, and he's a master of it.
It's got to be about the hair. That's the only explanation.
Your hair's fantastic.
Well, thank you. But it's not about me. It's about Boris and Trump.
Well, look, like I say, I think that everyone here has accidentally endorsed my view that there's absolutely zero excitement for any of the people that are running in the primaries. And Trump has probably got it in the bag come November. I think we all agree on that. But the one person that could give him a little bit of a run for his money, why do you think he calls a crooked Hillary?
Because she's a crook.
Terrified.
I disagree with that.
Terrified.
Yeah, the character assassination of her doesn't carry any weight coming from him. He's on the moral low ground, in my view. And I think that she's got a track record like everyone who's been in politics at that level for as long as she has. So take that crooked Hillary stuff off the table. That's just a slur. You're right about one thing, Sarah. She did poll strongly in the primary vote. It was the distribution of the Electoral College that counted against her. But I can't recall, I used to be a bit of a US junkie, I can't recall a person winning at their third attempt running for President of the United States. Is there anyone in history who's done it?
The Electoral College won't change.
No, well,
it's
going stronger for him now, frankly.
And isn't part of Hillary's problem also Bill? I mean, we haven't mentioned his name yet, but I mean, he famously said it's the economy's stupid. And I think that, if nothing else, will get Trump over the line. The economy's going pretty well.